Hi everyone, welcome to Cyberwitch, your online resource for spiritual development. My name is Orly. I have been working professionally as a psychic for almost 20 years, and I'm also a certified yoga teacher. Today, I am going to be teaching you to learn how to meditate, which in yoga is called dhyana, and the Sanskrit definition of the word is related to the mind's movement. So there are a lot of different techniques that we can train ourselves with to actually learn how to meditate. And the state that we reach in meditation is actually many different states, as well as this is super important and helpful for all spiritual practices, really at any time, even outside of what one would conventionally think of as meditating, like sitting down in a quiet space, but giving ourselves the ability to access these states of mind that we find from meditation as we go about our day or involve ourselves in various important activities, artistic endeavors, and what have you. The spirit world is always communicating to us. So when we apply the principles of meditation, in yoga, we call this limb dhyana, we can apply this to all through our life. So we're aware of deeper states of consciousness and other things that are going on beyond the average base perception of reality that is controlled and dictated by our emotions. So when we can access meditation, we can open that awareness really at any time. And this is so important for everyone to do, especially right now, because when we can access these deeper states of awareness, it helps us in our discernment of day to day life. It helps us to react in ways that are better to whatever happens in a more calm and intellectually understanding way, as well as this technique is truly what opens us up to psychic communication and messages from other dimensions, from our spirit guides, from your prayers as you go through the day without having to even intentionally putting yourself into a state of meditation. By learning these techniques, you can activate it outside of a ritual context, outside of a what you would imagine a person meditating would look like. You can access these states just walking down the street. You can access these states from sitting outside under a tree just in a park somewhere in a busy city. You don't need to have the perfect conditions to be able to meditate, to access deeper spiritual insights. So today I'm going to teach you about how this process actually works, because there are steps that when you implement them, it's going to make your ability to meditate way easier, because this is actually going through a process on how to train ourselves to access these states. And then once you know how to do that, then you can take it outside of that context and use it daily in your life to gain greater understanding and deeper meaning of things and a greater and heightened spiritual awareness. So, a lot of people struggle with meditation. A lot of people tell me that they have difficulties being able to concentrate. And in yoga, we call concentration dharana. There's an entire process of teaching the mind and training the mind on how to concentrate. And the world and life is in a lot of cases kind of set up to make it hard for us to be able to do this. There are so many distractions, not just in our own minds, but in the whole world around us. So sometimes it takes ourselves to take that first step to teach us how to get better at concentrating before we even try to get into meditating. And so for stuff like this, what you can do is find some activities that are going to make you need to concentrate. And so for some people, that could be like putting together a puzzle, building some Legos, working on some project where the mind has to be focused on one thing, because that's actually training our brain to be able to do harder things. These things are not easy, but when you implement a training in yourself to train your mind, just like working out at the gym, you can access deeper mental avenues of understanding and you can teach yourself how to concentrate. Even if you're someone who really struggles with it, sometimes it just takes finding something that you actually enjoy doing and then giving yourself that time on a regimented discipline basis where you're like, okay, now is my time of practicing my concentration exercise. Maybe it's reading a book that is intriguing to you, whatever it may be, and giving yourself that structured time to force your brain to learn how to concentrate. So if you're already hung up on the idea of like, I can't concentrate on anything, well, that's a really big problem. So find something that you actually enjoy doing and then start training yourself to concentrate on that, and then it will grow from there. And so when it comes to meditation, a lot of people get really worried about it because they feel like they can't concentrate and they think meditation is this whole thing about forcing your mind to not think about anything. And of course, there's many different types of meditation, but what we're going to talk about today are steps that will allow you to open yourself up to deep states of meditation in ways that are practical, that make sense, that you definitely can do to make your meditation get better over time. So, the first thing that is important for people to think about in learning how to meditate is before you're actually trying to do the meditation, this time is important because it's going to take our nervous system at least 20 to 30 minutes to be able to actually relax and change mental states to get into a meditative mindset. So before you get into your meditation, consider the preparing time as part of the meditation. So that can involve a number of different things. It could mean getting all the tasks or chores done that you need to complete so you don't have those things on your mind. It can mean doing things to change your sensory perception, such as dimming the lights, putting on some relaxing music, dancing, doing some yoga asanas to stretch and open up your energy, having things that you are going to start implementing to change your mental awareness before you start doing the meditation. So that's really important. And this entire step is something that most people do not do. And that's why they struggle so much with snapping out of how their mind was working before and getting into that meditative state. It's giving yourself that 20 or 30 minutes of preparing the mind. And this could even be something that you're doing through prayer or ritual to prepare yourself for doing that. So all of that would be opening yourself up to then meditating, and then in those meditative states, that's where you're contacting the spirit. That's where you are communicating, is in those deep meditative states. But you can't get there right away. You can't just automatically switch that on unless you're someone that's trained in doing it for a very long time. Then yes, it will happen like way faster. But typically it is something that is going to take some time. So you don't want to put pressure on yourself of how much time it's going to take. You want to just enjoy the journey, but start by doing things that are going to prepare your brain for going into the process of meditation. So that's really important, getting everything set up and ready, maybe even taking like a bath or shower to help cleanse yourself of anything else that's going on. And so when you get into meditation, there are a lot of very helpful techniques that I'm going to mention now that are essential to changing your awareness and shifting your reality into these deeper states of meditation. We are going toward what in Sanskrit is called samadhi. This is when we have this union with the spirit and that communication is happening. And this can even pertain to traveling to other realms. All of these deepest states of contact are defined in various nuances of samadhi in various categories, but that is far down the road. We're not going to just sit down with our legs crossed, close our eyes, and find ourselves there unless we're someone that's been doing it all the time and training just like an athlete. But this is the brain that we are training. So the idea is there are various different techniques that you can do to train your brain once you are now starting and trying to meditate. So one piece of advice is, of course, mantra. So the idea behind mantra that is very beautiful and significant in Hindu practice is that the mantra is literally the deity themselves when you are reciting it. So when you recite the mantra, you really are bringing that deity to you in saying it. So it's not the same as like a conjuration where we're conjuring a demon and calling it to come to us. The mantra is literally the deity itself. So when we do that, we are literally bringing this consciousness around us. So reciting a mantra can be a really helpful thing to do if you are trained in that, if you have some spirit that is aligned with that. The idea is to have something that you can focus the mind on and then bring it back to it once the distractions come in. So, like, let's say I'm meditating and I'm sitting there and something just starts coming into my mind. Well, I'm going to either have a mantra to bring myself back to or something else. So, that something else could be the sigil of a spirit, it could be the literal candle flame. It could be the image of something. It could be the visualization of a place that you are focusing on. You bring your mind back to that place of focus time and time again whenever some kind of distracting thought comes into your mind. So you have something that you can just always bring yourself back to. And the idea is you don't get stressed out if you have a distracting thought. You don't let that worry you. You don't let that make you feel like you're failing or something. That's just normal. It's always happening all the time. There's so much going on in our minds. And sometimes those things that come in our mind in a state of meditation are important for us to pay attention to. So that's why it's always good to have a notebook to be able to write that down. So try just write it down. If there's something really important that comes up in your mind while you're in your meditation, write it down, then go back to your point of focus. Keep taking your minds back to the point of focus. Figure out what that's going to be. Is it a spirit that you're visualizing in your mind? Can you see their picture in an icon in front of you, in a statue in front of you? Is it a symbol that you are focusing on? What is it that you are going to use as your point of focus, your focal point to bring it back to whenever something else tries to take you away from that. And the point of what you're focusing on is going to be related to your purpose of why you're doing this meditation. So obviously, like if you're trying to get in touch with a certain spirit, you would be using the visuals of the spirit, the sigil of the spirit. If it is something where you're really encountering your own deeper self, you don't have to make it so specific. You could use like the candle flame. You could use an image of something that just brings you peace and happiness when you look at it, and always bring it back to that. And then after doing this for an extended period of time, that is what's going to open you into this unification that comes through yoga, where you are uniting with this energy. And this is where you can go now to travel into deeper avenues of astral exploration, of spiritual communication. So this technique can be applied when we are in a prayer or ritual setting of how to actually get in contact with spirits and push our mind to opening those veils to making that contact. Because the main idea is there are spiritual forces all around us, but all the distractions of our minds get in the way. So the process of dhyana, aka meditation, this wonderful limb of yoga, is there to help us, to teach us how to access this type of spirit contact, this type of contact of deeper aspects of our own minds. So we could get into this state, just like I said, walking down the street, getting awareness, getting downloads, getting information to guide us to our spiritual ascent, into connecting into the greater consciousness where everyone is connected. And this is so important, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, for people to practice and to get in touch with, because there are so many messages happening just overall in the aether of the spirit of this world, messages for people to tap into, to awaken to. And when we open up our awareness, we can sense them and feel them. And this helps us to feel more calm. It helps us to be more informed and to be more strong, because we are aware of everything that's going on around us. So I hope that this helps you learn some basic fundamentals to meditation. I am a yoga teacher. I am a professional psychic. So if you would like to reach me for any of my online classes, or if you need direct help from me, all that stuff is linked in the description of this video as a resource for you. If you have some experiences with this type of meditation in your day-to-day life, I would love for you to leave a comment about it to help share that with others who watch the channel. And if you are new, please do subscribe, and everyone please hit like. It helps the channel grow so much. And please do share the videos, and also hit the new thing called hype. I would really appreciate it so much. And I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that you learned something. Thank you so much to all of my wonderful channel members and members on Patreon, and I'll see you next time. Bye.